For the Nazis, Germany's forests symbolized the solemnity and purity of the Teutonic soul. But in at least one such forest, during the 1940s, pornographic films were made. This previously little-known fact is the starting point for a controversial new novel. It's a wild tale about a Nazi scientist and the fascist jet set, a world peopled by dandies, Gestapo thugs, sexy women, and racist fanatics. The characters in Thor Kunkel's book never seek to distance themselves from the crimes of the Third Reich. That has led to criticisms that the author, Thor Kunkel, is making the Nazis seem harmless.
I don't see Final Stage as a response or a counterpoint to the pictures that great writers have drawn. In those books, the Holocaust is a central issue, and those accounts are absolutely believable. I have tried to look at these people from a different point of view and to understand their minds.
The original publisher, Rowohlt, intended to launch the book at this year's Leipzig Book Fair. In its spring catalogue, it was still lavishing praise on Kunkel. Then came accusations that the book was pro-Nazi, and Rowohlt pulled out.
People only have to hear that someone has written a book about a Nazi subject in which pornography also comes up, to think something must be wrong. It has to be something terrible. It has to be an attempt to play down the evil. It must be a political and literary crime.
There was a sudden frenzy of media interest in the book and the scandal surrounding it. For newspapers both in Germany and abroad, the Nazi nudes seemed to have many of the ingredients of the perfect story. This photo session with the author was organized by Eichborn, the publisher which has taken the book over from Rowohlt. They are hoping the interest in the book will boost sales. Whoever's involved, sex always seems to sell. But the knee-jerk reaction by some journalists and members of the public seems to have little to do with the actual qualities of the book. Kunkel describes in telling detail the world of the Nazi fat cats, and he shows them chatting about scientific experiments on human beings over champagne. It's a chilling account of spiritual degeneration.
Two gentlemen are at a party talking over canapes. One asks the other why his experiments are not progressing, seeing as nowadays human subjects are easy to get hold of. I think a scene like that is far more terrible, more shocking, especially against a background of luxury, than repeating the old images of people behind barbed wire and so on. We have almost become numb to those images. That is partly because they are so well known. That's something I know from advertising. If you repeat a key impulse too often, the nerves become numb.
Thor Kunkel knows what he's talking about. He has worked in advertising. He likes to challenge fixed opinions and make people sit up and listen. His characters are on a wild journey through the undergrowth of German history. They lose themselves in strange thoughts, bizarre conversations, and sex orgies. But what does it all amount to? The book includes a graphic account of rapes during the Russian conquest of Berlin in 1945. So are the critics right to be outraged after all?
That's nonsense. It's no way to talk about a book. The question should be, what is the author's intention? Is it a reasonable intention? Should one be allowed to write such a book? I would say yes. And did he do a good job?
At this reading, there's plenty of interest in Thor Kunkel's writing.
Until then, Fussmann had avoided making any movement. It was his chameleon technique, a learned reflex. He kept his head down and tried to fit in with the background. On this occasion, it also had something to do with the weather. Even the appearance of the local Nazi boss brought him out in a sweat. On the radio, it said the terrific weather was being enjoyed by half of Europe. Favorable conditions for the next phase of the war.
Final Stage is certainly a shadowy tale, but it does not appear to be an apology for the Nazis.